Coming up on This Week in Baseball, most of the West Coast sizzles as Oakland and Los Angeles rise to the top in pennant pursuits. Also, big league blunders.
It was time for me to go up to hit. And I just had to go to the bathroom. I just had to go. And they just had to wait until I was done.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. And a belated surge by the streaking Brewers, who could wind up the sleepers of the East. But wake up, one and all, because it's time to sound the alarm for This Week in Baseball.
Got us in your front office and say, okay, now where do we need help? And I think everybody's list is usually 6, 7, 8 things. Maybe. I mean, nobody's perfect.
What do we do to get this ball club back on track? And we knew that we were going to have to make some changes. We knew we had to improve our defense. We knew we had to improve our bullpen. And we knew we had to improve the power and the speed of this ball club.
Mighty tall orders, but in opening up brand new vistas on the West Coast, both the A's and Dodgers have been getting into serious pennant formation. If the outlook has changed for both teams, no wonder. Off-season acquisitions have brought much-needed clout, especially the Dodgers, who climbed to the top of the National League West. And hey, how about those A's winning 14 straight to take over the top spot in the American League West, thanks in large part to an off-season swap of the Dodgers for Bob Welch, whose 5-2 start would hardly surprise former manager Tommy Lasorda.
You're not going to replace a Bobby Welch. I thought Bobby Welch was one of the top 5 pitchers in the National League. I think Bobby Welch is going to be a tremendous asset to the Oakland baseball team.
I've been around in the National League and seen guys who are much more popular at Dodger Stadium than myself go on and do well in other phases. So, you know, I kind of learned from that situation and see how they adjusted to it. I look at that as a new beginning here with the Oakland Athletics and appreciate them trading for him.
I'm going to miss him, but I'm hoping that somebody else can pick up the slack.
Picking up the hitting slack, Kirk Gibson arrived in the offseason and has already demonstrated his knack for getting the big hits. Little wonder the balance of power has shifted in Los Angeles.
We didn't bring Kirk in to expect any miracles, but the way that he plays the game, the way that he approaches the game, and I think Kirk is going to have a tremendous impact on our ball club. I also think he's going to be one of the most popular players to play in Los Angeles simply because of his style of play.
Hey, we wanted a left-hand veteran hitter because we're primarily right-handed, we're young. And we said Parker. Yeah, Kirk Gibson's name came up. But we wanted, you know, somebody like Parker that had been driving in runs for a long time.
True enough. Dave Parker's driven in 90 or more runs each of the past 4 seasons. And if that's not sufficient to mount Oakland hopes, consider Dave Stewart and his spotless 8-0 record. So with 2 first-place teams in California, spirits are running high on the West Coast these days.
A great deal of enthusiasm, a lot of self-confidence. Very, very proud of this ball club.
What we've got now is a better chance to handle that pressure. If we had done nothing, there would have been pressure on me, as coaches, and the rest of the players, because you think, hey, you got to have a good deal when you got people like that. So I think what's happened is that we've got a lot fairer chance to handle that pressure because we've got a good, complete club.
The team that left Milwaukee holds the record. The team in Milwaukee watched the record. The swing and a miss. Plesac has his 5th save, and the Milwaukee Brewers have won 13 games without a loss.
If anyone thought last year's record-tying start was a fluke, take note. The Brewers finished up with 91 wins, and this year continued to dazzle, winning 10 straight at one point to get an early jump in the Eastern Division race.
Whenever you have young players, I think it takes time to assert themselves at the major league level. And once they realize that if they just play according to their ability, they'll be able to play well here, they are able to relax and play. And I think that's what happened to our ball club. We have guys who finally realized that it's the same game, and they're facing the same opponents they face in the minor leagues, and they're facing certainly some veterans, but they have to throw it over the plate, and we have to hit it, and we have to field it, and I think getting your feet on the ground was very helpful.
Chris Basio has been most helpful and most effective since turning starter last season. With 5 wins and the league's 3rd best ERA, he's a big plus to Milwaukee's young staff, and a bigger reason the Brewers are coming on strong. Also credit Dan Plesac for Milwaukee's emergence. Despite late-season elbow problems, Plesac collected 23 saves. Pretty fair numbers for the 26-year-old reliever, who's often compared to a veteran lefty from New York.
There's been so many comparisons between myself and Dave Righetti, and, you know, I've got a long way to go to be a Dave Righetti-type relief pitcher. He's been able to do consistent relief work now for the past 4 or 5 seasons, and I've been able to do it for 2 years. So I'm just going to have to try to live up to those expectations and not try to do something that I'm not able to do, and that just comes with experience. But right now, I'm very pleased with the progress I've made.
Glenn Braggs is no doubt pleased with his progress. Witnessed 25 RBIs for the heavy-hitting right fielder. And yet another reason for Milwaukee's optimism.
Realistically, we can win between 85 and 95 games. We hope that we can even out some of the inconsistency of a year ago. And if that happens, we'll be an excellent ball club and we'll have a good season.
Now it's time for this week's quiz, brought to you by Chevrolet. The Cardinals' John Tudor recently went 13 innings without giving up a hit. But who holds the all-time record for most consecutive hitless innings? New York, it's simple arithmetic for the Mets. Pitching plus pitching equals first place.
Bob Ojeda shuts out Montreal with a 2-hitter.
And you got to tip your hat to the pitcher, Ron Darling. A shutout, gave up only 8 hits to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Dwight Gooden pitches 5 1/3 innings of perfect baseball. Finishes with a 4-hitter.
I am a pitching person. I would live and die on that. I have always felt that way. I think that pitching, they used to say, was 80% of the game. It may not be 80, but it's a heck of a lot better than 50%. And I think you win or lose on your pitching staff.
The Mets have been winning on theirs, all right. Count 8 wins in 9 games and the best record in the league. Fact is, pitching has long been the trademark of the Mets. It carried them to a world championship in 1969 and to a pennant 4 years later. The most prominent names in Met history belong to the likes of John Matlack, Jerry Koosman, and Tom Seaver. Nowadays, Dwight Gooden heads up a dandy staff. While Doc provides the old-fashioned hard stuff, Ron Darling and Bob Ojeda supply the fancy stuff, which makes for the perfect complement.
Well, I always think it's good to have different type pitchers. You know, you don't really always want power throwers, power pitchers, because the ball club's timing can be set up for that good hard thrower. I like different wrinkles, and certainly Bobby gives us that different wrinkle with the change-ups and off-speed pitches.
Ron Darling adds his own wrinkle, a split-fingered fastball that has helped produce 2 shutouts, an ERA below 2, and a lot more consistency this season.
Ronnie has just realized, I think, that his intelligence has taken over, that he's become a smarter pitcher, and he's minimized his walks and give more strikes, not necessarily strikeouts, but just throwing more strikes, and I think he's accomplished that.
So, with a pitching staff that's better than ever, there's no telling what the Mets will accomplish in 1988. Now, what of Frank Viola and the Minnesota Twins? Well, the world champions are struggling, but Viola continues to thrive. In fact, with 69 wins over the past 4 seasons, he's the winningest left-hander in the majors since 1984.
I was blessed with good physical ability, but you can't win ball games. You see a lot of ball players in the minor leagues with even greater physical ability, but for some reason something doesn't click in their head and they just can't make it. People think that you just have to throw your glove out in the field and you're going to win, and that doesn't work that way. You know, it took me a while, and maybe left-handers just mature later, I don't know, but you got to work your butt off from day one and continue on, and you just want to keep on improving, and that's the goal I've set for myself this year. Become a little more consistent and just go out and do the best job I can. And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and you know you did a good job.
Viola has taken up where he left off last October when he was named World Series MVP. Twice this year, he's blanked Boston, featuring the circle change, a pitch he learned from Johnny Podres.
Plain and simple. The change-up, all you have to do is grip it like you're saying okay to somebody. You just put it around the ball the same way, keep your fingers off, keep it tight in the hand, and just throw it. It took me a good 2 years to, number one, come down with this grip, and number two, to conquer it and be able to throw it any time in the count.
It's called the circle change, and it's thrown with the last 3 fingers of the left hand. That was it.
It's good to show them a change of speed. Fastball is my ace in the hole. It always will be, but having a change up and a slow curve to go along with it changes the speed, maybe 10, 15, 20 miles an hour, whatever, however I throw it. 'Cause it makes my fastball, when this changeup's working, look maybe 5 or 6 miles an hour faster. And when you're combining the two, it really shakes the hitter up.
Sample the evidence. A 4-1 record, including a stretch of 30 innings without allowing an earned run. Time now to open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors. For 38-year-old Jerry Royce, it may have been a long time coming, but in beating the Orioles recently, the White Sox left-hander reached a milestone with career win number 200, joining Milt Pappas as the only pitchers to reach 200 wins without ever posting a 20-win season.
When I first started playing, I didn't have any plans in a 20-year-plus career. I've got somewhere between 17 and 18 years of Major League service. I didn't really expect to be playing that long. I think it's 3, maybe 4 times what the average is. From that perspective, yes, I am surprised to be playing. But from the other perspective, the year by year, I still believe I can get people out. And I still enjoy playing the game. So as a result, that's why I'm still here.
Some may wonder where Cincinnati would be without newcomer Danny Jackson, who recently two-hit the Phillies for the second straight time. Jackson may have been a hard-luck pitcher last year in Kansas City, but with a 5-1 record, he's finding success as a Red.
I like throwing inside. I'm not afraid to throw inside to anyone. If they're a home run here, that's all right by me. It's more of a challenge because I've got a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, so I take it right to him, and the best guy wins. And hopefully it'll be me more than them.
Mother's Day may be a special day for moms everywhere, but for Boston's Ellis Burks, it's become a home run day.
In the minor leagues on Mother's Day, I hit 2 home runs. Well, that was in Double-A. Then in A-ball on Mother's Day, I hit a home run. Then this past year on Mother's Day, I hit a home run off Don Sutton. That was great. Every year on Mother's Day, I seem to hit a home run.
High and deep to left. Way back and way out of here.
4 homers and 4 Mother's Days. And now to Red Sox teammate Roger Clemens and Seattle's Mark Langston, who've been zipping along. In the case of Langston, 16 strikeouts against Toronto, and for Clemens, 16 against the Royals. That gives Clemens a league-leading 83 strikeouts, 4 more than Langston. Now this, Houston's Mike Scott pitching against Montreal when Expos manager Buck Rogers suspected Scott of using an illegal object, namely a piece of tape on his finger. Umpire John Kibler ordered Scott to remove the tape, then held it for further inspection. Of course, such incidents involving Mike Scott and his baffling split-fingered fastball are nothing new.
He was really abused last season by a lot of managers. They have a right to ask an umpire to look at any specific ball. I have the right, any opposing manager does. I don't think any manager has the right to go out and stop play for 10 to 12 minutes like a lot of managers did last year, and hopefully the league will do something about that.
It's a little distracting, but it doesn't affect my pitching. It's not like they're coming by surprise. I can almost expect it from certain teams, and it's their right to do it, so if they want to do it, they can keep doing it.
Scott was cleared by the National League, but with a 4-0 record and the league lead in strikeouts, he'll undoubtedly continue to be a prime suspect. Time now for the answer to this week's quiz, brought to you by Chevrolet. Boston Cy Young threw 24 consecutive innings without allowing a hit, a record that has stood since 1904. How about that?
Correction, out number 3. Wait a minute. There are only 2 outs, folks. Hold everything here. Hold everything. I don't know how in the world that happened. How can 9 players out in the field all be confused about how many outs there are? What in the world is going on down there?
I'd like to know myself, but every major leaguer has a moment on the field they'd rather forget. Here's some.
My most embarrassing moment was when, at one time, it was time for me to go up to hit, and I just had to go to the bathroom. I just had to go. And they just had to wait until I was done.
Blowing the ball foul, definitely the most embarrassing moment. I can't explain why I did it. I was just something crazy that happened. I saw it replayed this winter at a banquet, and it was the first time I'd seen it replayed, and I said, I'll never do it again.
It would be against the Padres when I tried to throw the ball in my glove. I missed the glove. Howard made a great save between third and short. It was a one-run game. If he doesn't come up with the save, you know, it's a tie game, and I got a save, Howard got a save. We got 2 saves in that game.
I started against the Cubs one Sunday afternoon. I think I faced 8 hitters, and I only got 1 out, and he almost killed the third baseman. Walt Austin came out and he said, I'm not taking you out because you're pitching badly. I'm taking you out because somebody's going to get hurt if I don't.
There was a fly ball hit by Larry Milburn down the left field line, and the sun was in my face, and I just guessed to see where the ball was, put my glove up, went past my glove, hit me in the top of the head, bounced about 20 feet the other way. I looked at the umpire, and the umpire said fair ball, but I was so dazed I leaned over in the stands, and I said, well, I don't know what you're saying fair for, because I'm not chasing the ball. The guy got an inside the park home run, and as soon as I got to Detroit the next day, people were saying bounce the ball off your head, so that was probably my most embarrassing moment in the game.
Broken bat bouncer short. Play's got to go to first base. Safe. He did not keep his foot on the bag. And now Moreland is going to show the bat to the plate umpire. You don't suppose.
I got caught with a cork bat that, you know, I did not know that it was cork, but, you know, I got caught with it. It makes you feel about, you know, this big, because then it puts a damper on the type of season that you were having, and then it started playing mind games with you. You know, you start saying to yourself, do people really think that I was using this the whole year or something like that? And that's probably, you know, my most embarrassing moment.
I was running in. You want to be honest? Okay, I'll be honest. I was running in one time, and my cup fell off, you know what I mean? My jackstrap broke, and my cup's rolling down my leg. I'm trying to... Fans looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy, you know? And I'm trying to hold my cup up till I get in the dugout, and that was embarrassing, man.
Now our cup runneth over with the Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Alvin Davis of the Seattle Mariners has been on a power spree, cracking homers in 4 straight games. He also collected 12 RBIs during that stretch. In all, a 350-plus average and 25 RBIs for the Mariner first baseman. How about that for making waves?